my own boxing community, and I've been seeing a lot of videos, a few videos. Let me say a few videos. Popular videos. I would say popular, channels that got more than 3,000 subscribers, right? I've been seeing a lot of videos. I've seen comments on different social media platforms comparing Muhammad Ali and Oleksandr Usyk. Now, I'm thinking about like the type of comparisons, right, that I've seen. Because I've seen different comparisons. I've seen comparisons where they do a fantasy matchup, they do a size comparison, they compare each other's skill set. They compare each other's accomplishments and so on. Like, I've seen a lot of Muhammad Ali and Oleksandr Usyk comparisons. But the one, like, I don't care about a fantasy fight. Okay? Let me just put that out there. I don't care about a fantasy fight. There is no winner. There is no facts in a fantasy fight. Salute Charles D. Charles D in the building. There is no winner, I should say, in a fantasy fight. If two people could go back and forth in a fantasy fight, debate, and there's not going to be a winner. Unless you had some, judges or whatever, and they'd go by, some type of bracket, some type of, chart or whatever, a scale or something that had, their skill set or something bogus like that. Then maybe, I don't know. But for the most part, a lot of us feel like when it comes to like past fights, we would feel this person could beat that person. We'll give our reasons, and that's it. That's how I look at it. Like, right? Like, I always give the example. If you feel like Sugar Ray Leonard would lose to Floyd Mayweather, and you gave your reasons, and I gave my reasons, that's it. That's as far as it should go. I mean, it should be. You can go back and forth or whatever, but in a fun type of way. But for the most part, it's like you can't. We'll never prove if Sugar Ray Leonard could beat Floyd and vice versa, right? But the one thing that caught my attention was comparing Alexander Usyk's heavyweight era to Muhammad Ali's era. That's where, okay, now you got my attention. Now you got the MOBC's attention, right? And because everything else was irrelevant. I didn't care about anything else, but that struck me because I'm like, well, wait a minute. You telling me that Alexander Usyk is fighting in an era that was better than Muhammad Ali's era? And those videos are out there. And these people got reasons, ridiculous reasons to why they feel this era that Alexander Usyk is fighting in is better than Muhammad Ali's. So I want y'all to understand where I'm coming from, because now we're talking about one of the most stacked eras in heavyweight history. And this isn't wait a minute, y'all. This isn't an opinion. Like, this is an actual fact where this is a stacked era. And I'm talking about the Sonny Liston era along with the George Foreman Ken Norton era, which is in the 70s. Two different eras. Compared to Oleksandr Usyk's era. Like I said in my previous video, I seen a guy say that Derek Chisora, technically, he used the words technically, is a better fighter, more aggressive fighter. Rodolfo Rivera, salute. He said that Derek Chisora was a better fighter, more aggressive fighter, and gave Oleksandr Usyk a harder, more difficult fight because of his style. He gave Usyk a difficult fight, more difficult than Joe Frazier to Muhammad Ali. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Did we? I don't know if we watched the same fight. Right? But that's besides the point, right? So I'm going to put some names out there because, again, you boxing fans out there, you say these things about today's era, but you don't give it much thought. There isn't much thought in what you're saying because you're saying that this era is better than Muhammad Ali era, but it ends there. That's all you say. But then you start throwing insults. You start saying, Jerry Quarry is a bum, and Ernie Shavers was a bum. Randall Tex Cobb is a bum. Jimmy Ellis is a bum. Right? You start throwing these names out there, calling people bums. But we're talking about a stacked era. You can't, just because you feel like Jerry Quarry and Ron Lyles or whatever, never got a world title. Randall Tex Cobb never, that they're bums. Right? George Chuvalo is a bum. So if George Chuvalo is a bum, okay, if George Chuvalo was a bum, then what is Derek Chisora? I want to know. Because this isn't about it. This is bigger than fantasy matchups. Because I'm about to end this whole debate with whose era is better. Because obviously, I believe that Muhammad Ali's era is not only a better era, a more talented era, but it was a harder era to fight in. And I don't care what anybody say about these fighters are bigger and stronger today, and that the heavyweights back then were cruiserweights, because they're not cruiserweights. I get sick and tired of people calling the heavyweights back then cruiserweights. They're not cruiserweights. They're heavyweights. And if they fought today, they wouldn't weigh the amount that they weighed back then. They would be heavier and bigger today because of the food, because of the supplements, because of the steroids they put in food, because of the PEDs we have today, because of genetically modified food and the contaminated cows that we have today. Don't tell me that Ron Lyles, big old butt, and George Foreman is going to be some damn cruiserweights. Because if the heavyweights today fought back then, they wouldn't have the food that they got now and the supplements that they got now. Deontay Wilder would be a skinny twig if he fought back then. We're talking about fighters back then like Ken Norton, all right? George Foreman, Ernie Shavers, naturally big, naturally strong, without having to do some curls and bench pressing. In the 70s got accused of using steroids. Nobody failed no tests back then, but plenty have today. Plenty of them. Now, as far as a better era, I'll throw out some names out there because y'all out there, you Usyk fanboys, calling him an ATG. He ain't no ATG. Now, I'm going to throw some names out. Y'all said that this era today is better than Muhammad Ali's era. Y'all said that Usyk fought better opponents than Muhammad Ali. Well, let's think about it now, because I've seen people say Gassiev and Bradis would have been heavy. They're not heavyweights. They're cruiserweights. And if they fought in the 70s, they'd probably be undersized because of the nutrition, because of the food. I stand on that. Now, I'm going to throw out some names out there because y'all said it was a better era, you Usyk fanboys. So I want y'all to listen. Zhang, Wilder, Ruiz, Ortiz, and let me see. Wilder, Zhang, Ruiz, Jared Anderson, Bacoli, Big Baby Miller, Gerald Miller, Ortiz. I'm throwing names out there for you boxing fans. I'm trying to think of some more names for y'all. I gave y'all some names. You understand? I gave y'all some names. Dillian White. I'm throwing names out there. Huh? Washington. Who else? Who else we got? Y'all help me out. Who else? I threw out about 8 or 9 names in this boxing era, okay? Now, remember those names, because this is supposed to be a better era that Usyk is fighting in. So I want y'all to remember those names. Are y'all ready? Jimmy Ellis, Jimmy Young, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Ken Norton. Are y'all with me? Sonny Liston. Are y'all with me? Huh? Ernie Shavers. I'm giving y'all some names. Zora Foley. Cleveland Williams. I gave y'all some names. Now, the names that I named in Muhammad Ali's era, Muhammad Ali fought in his era. Let me say it again. Excuse me. Let me say it again. Yeah, Jared Anderson, Rodolfo. Let me say it again. Jimmy Ellis, Jimmy Young, Jerry Quarry, Ernie Shavers, Ron Lyles, George Foreman, George Chuvalo, Zora Foley, Sonny Liston, Floyd Patterson, Cleveland Williams. Y'all get where I'm coming from. Oscar Bonavina, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton. Are y'all with me? All of those names in Muhammad Ali's era, he fought. And not one of them was a cakewalk. Are y'all follow me now? I want y'all to follow me now. Now, I'm going to say this era. Jared Anderson, Big Baby Miller, Zhang, Joseph Parker, Ortiz, John Ruiz, Dillian White, Deontay Wilder, Washington. I gave y'all some names. This is Usyk's heavyweight era. Which one of them fighters did Usyk fight? Don't tell me that Usyk is in a better era if he's not fighting the guys that's in his era. Usyk is probably going to fight the winner out of Parker and Dubois. So he's not going to have a fight in between that. Why? Because it's a risk of losing and getting a shot at becoming undisputed again. Because that's what they want. They want Usyk to become undisputed again. If this was Muhammad Ali's era, he would fight in between that and risk taking an L. But we're not in that era. So you can't say that this era is a better era than Muhammad Ali's era if he's not fighting those guys. The 90s, Razor Ruddock, Tommy Morrison, Ray Mercer, Evander Holyfield, David Tua. Are y'all with me? Huh? Oliver McCall. Vitaly Klitschko. That's Lennox Lewis's era. He fought those guys. He fought those guys in a stacked era. And who do we got? Jared Anderson, John Ruiz, Zhang, Parker, Wilder, Dillian White, Big Baby Miller. Usyk didn't fight these guys. Yeah, he beat the two best heavyweights of this era. I'll give him that. But those two best heavyweights weren't at their best. Let me say that again. Usyk gets full credit from me, the MOBC, from us, the MOBC. Full credit for beating Fury and AJ. Because to me, were the two best heavyweights. AJ being slightly better than Fury because he has a better resume. But they weren't at their best. Y'all following me now? So when y'all start talking about Oleksandr Usyk is in a way tougher era, his era is tougher. I don't know it's tougher. How do I know that Oleksandr Usyk is in a tougher era if he's not fighting these guys? Just because he beat AJ and Fury isn't the end-all be-all. I don't know if Fury could beat Zhang. Right? I don't know if Fury could beat Big Baby Miller. I don't know if AJ could beat Big Baby Miller. I don't know if AJ could beat Zhang. I don't know if AJ could beat Jared Anderson, Bacoli. I don't know. So him beating those two guys is not telling me much. Because at least, when Muhammad Ali fought Foreman, he wiped guys out. Not only did he wipe guys out, but he wiped some of the guys that gave Muhammad Ali his hardest fights. That's the difference. So when you sit there and start telling me that, oh, Oleksandr Usyk is in a better era, you guys got to backtrack and go back and look at the logistics in this situation. Is that, well, wait a minute. If he's in a harder era, how would I know? He's not fighting all. Muhammad Ali fought all these different styles. All these different styles. Guys known for having solid chins, like Chavallo. You think Fury? You think Cunningham would have dropped Chavallo? Let me ask y'all a question, people out there. Does anybody out there think that Cunningham, a real cruiserweight, could drop Chavallo? Get out of here with that nonsense. Who AJ gonna fight next since Dubois is busy? So supposedly AJ, what it looks like is AJ is gonna fight Fury. And to me, that's just a money fight. I would love to see it. Obviously, I've, been wanting to see it. But again, this is like Floyd and Manny. This is like Crawford and Spence. Guys that are well in their 30s, way past their prime, fighting each other. Two guys that are not at their best. One guy got bad knees, fat and out of shape. The other one getting dropped and stopped and mentally isn't there. Whoever is the most healthy physically and mentally is going to win the two out of that. And I don't know who that is out of Fury. Because at this point, I'm tired of doing prediction fights for fighters that are past their prime. I mean, let's just be real. I don't care who wins out of Crawford and Canelo. Crawford is 3 years away from 40. Who cares? You know what I mean? Should have happened years ago. Exactly. It should have happened years ago. Yeah, that's a big money fight. It's long overdue. Exactly. It's like watching Anthony Joshua and Wilder. Who cares? Whoever wins that, it's going to be a bunch of Wilder crazy fans going to celebrate because the UK guy lost, and vice versa. If AJ's fan wins, the crazy AJ fans is going to celebrate if AJ loses. And I'd probably be one of them. I mean, excuse me, if Wilder loses. And I'd probably be one of them because I'm an AJ fan. But I'm being funny. But what I'm saying is, you can't say that this era is better if I don't know. I don't know if you could beat Zhang. He could clip you with one shot. I don't know if you could beat Bacoli. They call him Bacoli the modern day George Foreman based off of one fight. Okay, he's the modern day George Foreman. I'd like to see Usyk in his 30s fight that young guy. Muhammad Ali did it with Foreman. And we all know that 33, 34 years old, today a 36, 37-year-old with the PEDs and with the supplements and with the nutrition and all this nonsense, you could fight better. They didn't have that back then. You get where I'm coming from? They didn't have that back then. All these big, strong guys back then that didn't have to lift weights and all that. They didn't have that. But they had the grit. They had the heart. They wanted to win in the sport. They wanted to fight the best. So when I hear people say that this era is better than Muhammad Ali's, I want y'all to prove it. Prove that it's better than Muhammad Ali's. I've seen them say that it's better than Mike Tyson's. Prove it. You guys praise Usyk for winning the tournament. He had 3 fights in that tournament. I watched all of them. Mike Tyson was in the tournament. Or did y'all forget? In the 80s. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this era is not better than Muhammad Ali's era. It's not better. And let me tell you something when we talk about eras, okay? Because I've been hearing this too. All right? Today's era being better than Vladimir Klitschko's era is really, really debatable. It's really, really debatable. And I'm going to make a video on that next. Okay? Because just like Muhammad Ali, at least we know whether Vladimir Klitschko took L's and got knocked out, he still fought mostly, if not all that he could in his era, and which is why he was a long reigning champion until Father Time caught up to him and Fury fought him at the right time. So don't say that Oleksandr Usyk's era is better than Vladimir Klitschko's, because the difference between those two, Usyk and Vladimir, is Vladimir has a better resume, in my opinion, at heavyweight. And he fought more. Vladimir Klitschko can be considered an ATG. Lennox Lewis can be considered an ATG. Larry Holmes could be considered an ATG. Muhammad Ali, obviously ATG and GOAT of heavyweights. But with 5 fights, and if Parker loses to Dubois, it'll still be 5 heavyweights that you fought. So you better hope that Parker wins. And even still, you're fighting a Parker that AJ beat how many years ago now? Oleksandr Usyk's era is not better than Muhammad Ali's era. Because like I said, Muhammad Ali fought the guys in his era. Oleksandr Usyk, you didn't, buddy. This is the MOBC, my own boxing community. Salute to everybody that showed up. Catch the replay. Please like, share, and subscribe to the MOBC, my own boxing community.